Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into an article today called Awareness and Consciousness, the two foundations of spiritual evolution.
Oh, yeah.
From the Spiritual Seek website.
Okay.
It's going to be a deep dive into some, pretty heady concepts.
Yeah.
But stick with us,
Right.
because understanding this stuff could seriously shift how you see, everything.
Yeah.
Life, death, even free will.
It's true. These ideas are powerful. Yeah. And often misunderstood.
Right.
For example, we tend to use awareness and consciousness kind of interchangeably.
Yeah.
But this article makes a clear distinction.
Right.
It's that nuance that often gets missed.
Okay, so let's start untangling this, right?
Okay.
The article kicks off by defining individual consciousness.
Okay.
So it's basically the me feeling we all have, the sense of being a separate self,
Yeah.
looking out at the world.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how much this me is shaped by when and where we happen to be born.
Right.
Imagine someone living, 100 years ago. Their sense of what's right and wrong,
Yeah.
their whole worldview would be totally different from ours, right?
Totally.
Individual consciousness is constantly evolving.
So in a way, we're kind of like
Right.
works in progress, always downloading new information
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
world and ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then the article throws in this other idea,
Right.
universal consciousness.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Imagine a huge ocean.
Okay.
Each of us is like a little drop of water in that ocean.
Right.
Unique, yet still part of that vast whole.
Right.
That's universal consciousness, this interconnectedness that binds us all together.
Okay, so we've got our individual selves in this larger field of consciousness we're all part of.
Yeah.
But where does awareness fit in?
Right.
The article makes a big deal about the difference between consciousness and awareness.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
See, consciousness is like our default setting.
Yeah.
We're conscious beings whether we're paying attention or not.
Right.
But awareness
Yeah.
is active.
Okay.
It's about waking up from that autopilot state
Yeah.
and actually noticing what our consciousness is up to.
So it's like the difference between just breathing
Yeah.
and actually noticing each breath,
That's it, exactly.
or scrolling mindlessly on social media,
Right.
versus being present in a conversation.
Right.
We're conscious in both scenarios,
Yeah.
but aware in only one.
And the article argues that cultivating this awareness is key to spiritual evolution.
Hold on.
Okay.
Before we jump into evolution,
Okay.
the article also briefly mentions the soul.
Okay.
What's its role in all of this?
It is. It is.
It describes it as a bridge between the material and the spiritual.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty profound.
And I think this bridge idea is crucial.
Okay.
The article suggests that the soul helps translate our experiences,
Yeah.
bridging the gap between the physical world we perceive with our senses
Yeah.
and this realm of universal consciousness. It's like the soul is constantly sending and receiving information,
Okay.
connecting us to something much larger than our individual selves.
So the soul is the interpreter,
Exactly.
helping us make sense of this bigger reality we're a part of.
But that's not all.
Okay.
The article argues that our consciousness uses this fascinating tool
Okay.
to help us experience the world duality, like
Yeah.
good versus evil, light versus dark.
Yeah. Okay.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Our consciousness uses these contrasting forces to help us make sense of the world.
Okay.
It's like a framework for understanding our experiences.
Right.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
The article emphasizes that ultimately this separation,
Yeah.
this duality, is an illusion.
Wait, so you're saying all this good versus bad, me versus you, it's not real?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one the article doesn't fully answer.
Right.
But think about it this way.
Okay.
How often do you get stuck in those dualistic judgments?
Yeah.
This is good, that is bad.
Right.
I'm right, they're wrong.
Yeah. All the time.
What if letting go of those rigid categories
Yeah.
could actually lead to more freedom, more peace?
Okay.
It's a question to ponder.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this duality thing could
Right.
be a big deal.
Yeah.
But how do we even begin to see through it?
Well, the article brings up another powerful concept,
Okay.
doubt.
Okay.
It quotes Socrates, who believed that questioning everything
Right.
was the path to true knowledge.
Okay.
The article argues that this doubt, this
Mhm.
willingness to question even our most cherished beliefs, is the fuel for awareness.
So we shouldn't be afraid to question everything.
It can be scary.
Yeah, but what if we end up questioning ourselves into oblivion?
Right.
Where does this questioning lead?
That's where inner dialogue comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about doubting the external world,
Right.
but also turning that inquiry inward,
Okay.
examining our own thoughts, beliefs, and motivations.
Okay.
It's about cultivating that inner conversation
Right.
and letting it guide us towards deeper understanding.
So doubt is the fuel and inner dialogue is the vehicle. It sounds like a pretty wild ride.
It can be,
Right.
but it's through this process of questioning and self-reflection that we start to see beyond the limitations of our individual consciousness.
Yeah.
And tap into that universal consciousness we talked about earlier.
Okay, that's starting to make more sense.
Got it.
So we're questioning everything, engaging in inner dialogue, and hopefully expanding our awareness.
Right.
But what's the end goal here?
That's where this idea of the path to awareness comes in.
Okay.
And the article uses this really interesting analogy to explain it.
I love analogies. Lay it on me.
All right, imagine your consciousness is like a hard drive.
Okay.
It's packed with information, all your experiences, memories, everything you've ever learned.
Okay.
But without a good search function,
Yeah.
all that data is useless, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
You could have the entire internet saved on your computer, but without a way to search it, it's just a bunch of ones and zeros.
Exactly. So what's the search function for our consciousness?
That's the question.
That's where awareness comes in.
Okay.
Awareness is like developing that powerful search engine,
Right.
allowing us to access and understand the vast knowledge that's already within us.
So it's not about learning new stuff,
Right.
but remembering what we already know.
That's the idea.
It's like we have this hidden library inside of us,
Yeah.
just waiting to be explored.
And the journey of awareness is about rediscovering those forgotten truths
Okay.
and unlocking the wisdom that lies within.
This is already blowing my mind.
Good.
And we haven't even touched on the article's perspective on death yet.
Right.
Buckle up, listener,
Yeah.
because this is where things get really profound.
You're right.
Yeah.
This is where the article takes a fascinating turn.
Okay.
It challenges the conventional view of death as an end
Okay.
and presents it as a transition, a
Okay.
shift in our state of being, rather than an absolute termination.
So it's not about ceasing to exist,
Right.
but rather evolving into a different form of existence.
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're venturing into territory
Yeah.
where there are no easy answers.
Right.
But what the article suggests
Yeah.
is that our level of awareness
Right.
might significantly influence our experience of death.
So the more aware we are during our lives.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
The smoother this transition might be.
Like we're packing for a journey into the unknown.
Yeah.
And awareness is the most valuable luggage we can bring.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
It suggests that by cultivating awareness now,
Right.
we're not just living a richer life,
Yeah.
but potentially preparing ourselves for whatever comes next.
I like that.
This is heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And we're only in part one.
We'll take a break.
Yeah. I need a moment to process all of this.
Take your time.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest.
It is.
But this is just the beginning of our exploration. When we come back,
Okay.
we'll delve even deeper into the article's perspective on spiritual evolution
Okay.
and what it means for how we live our lives.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into awareness and consciousness.
Okay.
Before we went off, we were talking about death as a transition.
Right. Heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But also kind of makes you want to seize the day, you know?
Yeah.
If this life is just one chapter in a larger story,
Right.
then what are we doing with this chapter?
That's the spirit. And that brings us to the heart of what the article calls spiritual evolution.
Okay.
It's about going beyond those limiting beliefs that keep us stuck,
Yeah.
expanding our awareness,
Right.
and reconnecting with that universal consciousness we talked about earlier.
So it's not just about gaining more knowledge,
Right.
and having cool experiences. It's about actually transforming ourselves.
Yeah. The way we see and interact with the world.
You got it. Spiritual evolution is an ongoing process of growth, transformation,
Right.
and connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
Okay, so how do we even start down this path of spiritual evolution?
Yeah.
The article doesn't exactly give us a step-by-step guide.
True, but it does keep coming back to the importance of doubt and inquiry.
Right.
It's about cultivating a curious mind,
Yeah.
questioning everything,
Okay.
and challenging those deeply ingrained beliefs we often take for granted.
So it's about breaking free from that autopilot mode
Yeah.
and actively engaging with life. But how do we do that?
Right.
I mean, most of us are juggling jobs, families,
Right.
all sorts of responsibilities.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to just get through the day, let alone engage with life on this deeper level.
You're right. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be some grand, sweeping change.
Okay.
It's about those small, conscious choices we make throughout the day.
Right.
Those moments where we choose awareness over autopilot, even if it's just for a few minutes.
So like instead of mindlessly scrolling through my phone while I'm waiting in line,
Right.
I could take a few deep breaths and just notice what's happening around me.
Exactly.
Or instead of zoning out during my commute,
Right.
I could actually pay attention to the trees and buildings I pass every day.
Exactly. It's about being present in those everyday moments.
Okay.
And this presence isn't just about thinking or analyzing.
Right.
It's about experiencing life fully.
Okay.
Engaging with our emotions, our senses, our intuition.
So it's not just about having a head full of ideas,
Right.
but actually integrating those ideas into our lives.
Yeah.
Living them, breathing them.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see how that could lead to some real transformation over time.
It can.
Yeah.
And remember that idea of remembering the article talked about?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we've come from this state of pure awareness,
Yeah.
this connection to universal consciousness. But in the process of growing up, we've kind of veiled ourselves in layers of conditioning and limiting beliefs.
So spiritual evolution is about peeling back those layers
Yeah.
and rediscovering our true nature.
I like that analogy.
Like we're uncovering a hidden masterpiece beneath all that dust and grime.
It's about uncovering that innate wisdom that resides within each of us,
Okay.
that spark of divinity that connects us to the source of all creation.
This is starting to sound a lot like those ancient spiritual traditions that talk about enlightenment or awakening. Is that what the article is getting at?
You're picking up on the themes here.
Right.
While the article doesn't explicitly use those terms,
Yeah.
the core message does resonate with many spiritual teachings throughout history.
Right.
The idea that we're not just physical beings,
Right.
but spiritual beings having a human experience
Yeah.
is a recurring theme in various mystical traditions.
It's fascinating how these ideas show up across so many different cultures and religions.
It is. It is.
It's like there's this universal truth that we're all trying to grasp, each in our own way.
Exactly. And, you know, the article's emphasis on personal experience,
Yeah.
on that inner journey of self-discovery,
Right.
aligns with this idea that spiritual evolution is a deeply personal process.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
It's not about following some rigid set of rules or dogma,
Yeah.
but about forging our own path,
Okay.
guided by our intuition and unique experiences.
So how do we know we're on the right track?
Yeah,
What are some signs that we're actually evolving spiritually?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that spiritual evolution isn't about reaching some ultimate destination
Right.
or achieving a state of perfection.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process, a
Right.
continuous unfolding.
So it's not about reaching the finish line,
Right.
but about enjoying the journey itself.
Precisely. It's about embracing the ups and downs,
Right.
the challenges and the triumphs.
Yeah.
And recognizing that each experience, no matter how difficult or confusing,
Right.
offers an opportunity for growth and expansion.
Okay, so maybe there's no checklist.
Right.
But are there any indicators that we might be moving in the right direction?
Yeah.
That our awareness is expanding?
Absolutely. And these signs often manifest in subtle shifts in our perception,
Subtle
our
shifts.
relationships, and our overall approach to life.
Okay.
We might find ourselves feeling more connected to others,
Yeah.
more compassionate,
Right.
and more at peace with ourselves and the world around us.
So it's not necessarily about dramatic mystical experiences or sudden bursts of enlightenment, but about these gradual yet profound changes
Exactly.
in our way of being.
We might notice a shift in our priorities,
Okay.
a deepening sense of purpose,
Yeah.
and a greater appreciation for the simple things in life.
Okay.
And often these shifts are accompanied by a sense of liberation,
Right.
a feeling of lightness and joy that arises from connecting with our true nature.
It's like we're finally coming home to ourselves after a long journey.
I like that.
But it's not a static endpoint.
Right.
It's about continuously evolving, expanding,
Yeah.
and deepening our connection to that universal consciousness we're all a part of.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
It's that ongoing journey that makes it so fascinating.
Right?
And, you know, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I wanted to circle back to those mini self-assessment tests the article mentioned.
Oh, yeah. The tests.
Yeah.
You said we wouldn't have time to go through them.
We don't.
But could you at least give us a sneak peek
Of course.
of what they're about?
The first one is called, Are You Undergoing a Spiritual Awakening?
Oh.
It basically presents a series of statements that reflect common experiences people have when they start to awaken spiritually.
Okay.
Things like questioning reality,
Right.
feeling detached from the material world,
Okay.
and challenging conventional belief.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah.
And what about the second test?
That one's called Are You in the World or Of the World?
Okay.
It explores our relationship to the world around us
Right.
and delves into this idea of whether we see ourselves as primarily physical beings or as spiritual beings having a human experience.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to check those out on the Spiritual Seek website.
Yes.
But for now, I think it's time to move on to the last part of our deep dive.
Yes. In the final section, we'll shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore how we can actually apply these concepts of awareness and consciousness to our everyday lives.
Okay.
It's about taking these big ideas and making them practical and relevant to our daily experiences.
Stay tuned. There's still so much more to discover. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into awareness and consciousness.
Okay.
This article from the Spiritual Seek website has really taken us on a journey.
It has.
We've talked about individual consciousness,
Right.
universal consciousness, the soul,
Yeah.
duality,
Right.
even death as a transition. It's been mind-blowing, but also kind of leaves you wondering, what do we do with all this?
You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
It's all fascinating stuff, but it's most powerful when we can actually apply these ideas to our everyday lives.
Exactly. We're not all going to run off to a monastery and meditate all day.
Right.
So how do we bring these concepts down to earth
Yeah.
and integrate them into our busy, messy lives?
It's not about making radical changes.
Okay.
It's about those small conscious choices we make throughout the day.
Right.
Moments where we choose awareness over autopilot.
Okay.
And it starts with how we relate to the world around us, particularly other people.
Okay, so instead of just going through the motions in our relationships,
Yeah.
we should be more mindful and present in our interactions.
Think about it.
Okay.
How often are you truly present in a conversation?
Right.
Really listening to what the other person is saying,
Yeah.
trying to understand their perspective.
Okay.
It's so easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and judgments.
Right.
But real connection happens when we bring awareness to those interactions.
So instead of just waiting for my turn to talk,
Right?
I should actually listen to what my friend is telling me.
Yeah.
Maybe even ask clarifying questions
Yeah.
to make sure I understand their point of view.
That's a great example.
Okay.
And it's not just about our interactions with others.
Right.
This also applies to our relationship with ourselves.
Okay.
How often do you take a moment to just check in with yourself?
Yeah.
Notice your thoughts and feelings without judging them.
Yeah.
Cultivating that inner awareness is crucial for spiritual evolution.
That's so true.
Yeah.
We're often so hard on ourselves,
Right.
always criticizing or second guessing. It's like
Yeah.
we're our own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah.
So taking a pause to acknowledge our thoughts and emotions,
Right.
maybe even offer ourselves a little compassion.
Yeah.
That's a form of awareness.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there are so many simple practices we can incorporate into our daily routine to cultivate this awareness.
Like what?
Things like mindfulness meditation,
Right.
spending time in nature,
Okay.
practicing gratitude, they all help us shift out of that autopilot mode
Right.
and into a state of presence.
It's about finding those little pockets of peace and awareness throughout the day.
Exactly.
Okay, that feels doable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to become a meditation guru overnight, but I can definitely try to be more present in my daily life.
Good.
But what about the bigger picture stuff?
Right.
We talked about challenging those deeply ingrained beliefs that we've inherited from society or our upbringing.
Right.
How do we even begin to tackle that?
As our awareness grows, we naturally start to question things.
Right.
Those societal norms and expectations that we've always taken for granted might suddenly seem arbitrary
Yeah.
or even harmful.
Yeah.
It's about becoming aware of those unconscious patterns
Okay.
and making choices that align with our true values and aspirations.
So it's not about blindly following the rules,
Right.
but about figuring out what resonates with us on a deeper level and making conscious choices
Yeah.
based on that understanding.
Spiritual evolution isn't just about personal growth.
Okay.
It's about contributing to a more conscious and compassionate world.
Right.
As we become more aware, we naturally start to make choices that benefit not just ourselves,
Right.
but also those around us and the planet as a whole.
Okay.
It's like a ripple effect.
I love that image.
Yeah.
It's not about withdrawing from the world, but engaging with it in a more mindful and meaningful way.
Right.
This whole deep dive has been transformative.
Good. I'm
It's
glad.
given me so much to think about and so many tools to apply in my own life.
That's wonderful to hear.
It is.
And remember, this is just the beginning. The
Right.
journey of awareness is ongoing.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep cultivating that inner connection.
Okay.
Who knows what incredible discoveries await you?
Well said.
Hmm.
So, to our amazing listener, as we wrap up this deep dive, we leave you with this final thought from the article.
Okay.
If awareness is a process of remembering, what are you trying to remember?
That's the question.
Keep that question in mind as you navigate your world and see where it leads you.
Okay.
Until next time, keep diving deep.